Today we're looking at active and passive voice, which is about how the sentence is worded, what the focus is. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. So the subject is doing the action to the object. When you have it in that order, that's going to be active voice. The subject is the leader of the sentence. Sally drove her car off the road. Sally is doing the driving to her car, and then there's another part of the sentence, some details that just kind of gets left towards the end of the sentence usually. Sally drove her car off the road. Now, if we want to avoid saying Sally, or we want to make the car the focus of the sentence, we can flip the object and the subject and adjust the verb. So the car was driven off the road by Sally. So now we have the car as the object, and was driven is what's happening, and off the road is still there by Sally. Notice the subject is now lagging behind, where here the subject is leading the sentence. Here in passive voice, the subject is lagging behind. Here's another passive sentence. Timmy was bitten on the arm by the dog. Notice we could even leave out the subject entirely. We could just say Timmy was bitten on the arm. That's true in passive voice. You can't do that in active voice. You need the subject in active voice. So Timmy was bitten on the arm, and you can include by the dog. Notice there's some version of the verb to be here with the action when we're writing passive voice. It ends up being like the verb itself is passive because it's something with the direct verb. So when do we use active voice? When we want to be direct and when the subject is the most important. And generally, active voice is the first choice for writing in order to have more concise writing and make sure that it's more accessible to the reader. We use active voice as the first choice unless there's a specific reason. So check it out. The children ate the pizza. We've got the subject out in front. The verb is ate, and the pizza is the object. It's very direct. When we look at the sentence in passive voice, it's a lot longer now, wordier. Unless we can actually leave out the subject if we want to. We can leave out the by the children, and then it gets shorter again. But the pizza is the object. Now that's the focus of the sentence, and was eaten with a version of the verb to be here, now paired with eaten. So we use passive voice when we don't know who did the action, when we don't know or when we don't want to say who or what did the action, possibly because we want to avoid responsibility. The lamp got broken. The object is the most important part of the sentence. If we're wanting to focus on the object in the sentence, then we can use passive voice intentionally. So how do we switch back and forth? This is an important skill as a writer. Basically, you just find the object and the subject, you switch them and adjust the verb. If you need more details, there is an optional video here to watch that goes over these step-by-step with lots of examples, so feel free to watch that. With the switching of the verb, or switching of the object and the subject, and then adjusting the verb, passive voice is going to include some version of the verb to be. Was, will, had been, were, got, some version of that. And so you either need to take it out if you're going out of passive voice, or you need to add it in if you're going into passive voice. Also, remember with passive voice, you can often leave out the subject entirely because it is implied. So that means that sometimes you have to make up a subject if you're going from passive to active. Or if you know the context, then you can just use that. Or you could use something very vague like someone or somebody or something. Let's look at an example. Someone stole my wallet. So I found the subject is someone. My wallet is the object, so I'm literally going to switch those. My wallet stole someone. Now that doesn't make sense, so I have to adjust the verb. So my wallet was stolen by someone. Now it is a longer sentence, but the nice thing is I can actually leave out that subject if I want to. So now I just have my wallet was stolen passively. This was is the form of to be that was added to stole. And I had to adjust the stolen for it to make grammatical sense. The passive voice is now leaving out the subject. So in the wallet, the object is the focus. Okay, now what if we need to go the other way, passive to active? The Porsche will be sold by the salesman before the weekend. This extra information can just hang out there at the end of the sentence. Salesman might not even be part of the sentence when it's in passive voice because you don't need the subject, but I'm going to switch the subject and the object. So now it's the salesman will sell the Porsche before the weekend. So before the weekend just stayed there. The salesman is now the subject leading the sentence.